Yeah, Wednesday is just going to be about you. Because it always is.
That's not true. It's not even remotely true.
I was kidding.
I know.
It's a joke. Hashtag jokes.
Joke don't work when tired. Joke function has been disabled for power saving reasons.
Nice. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is I, Gavin.
Hump day.
Get that hump, son.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Who are you?
I don't know. I don't know who I am. I've lost everything. Everybody, Justin is tired this week.
Dude, same, though.
I've lost my mind.
Fucking same.
It's been a tiring week. And it's going to be even more of a tiring week because I'm going to Tennessee this weekend to see our good friend AJ.
Woo! Shout out to AJ Glassmacher.
Glassmacher.
Josh Walker.
It's so much fun to say his last name.
I know.
If you ever need a hock a loogie, just say AJ's last name. So, yeah, he lives in Knoxville. So I've been to Nashville, Tennessee twice, and I've been through the Blue Ridge Parkway, but I've never been to Knoxville. So this will be my first time going to Knoxville.
That is one of the iconic roads to drive, so I hear.
Yes, it was gorgeous. Because I took that road on the way back with my Saab.
What time of year was that?
The perfect one. It was September.
Oh, yeah. So you had all the colors.
Yes.
Justin is breaking out his phone to show me photos. Mm-hmm. It's going to take him a couple minutes.
It will because it's been a few years. But yeah, no, it was absolutely stunning. It's actually going to be better on here. But
So what you're saying is the best time, if you want to buy a car, and if you live on the West Coast, go to the East Coast. Buy yourself a one-way ticket to somewhere out east. Buy your car, and then drive it back and hit up the Blue Ridge Parkway and Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Just do it.
Neato. Well, you had some interesting adventures this past weekend.
I did. So part of what makes me so tired, oh boy, I had a detail this weekend, and this one was rather interesting. For those of you that don't know, I used to work with the trucking company. I used to manage all the fleet. That's the same company I'm now helping out during the winter season. Well, one of their drivers that was actually hired after I left, so I don't know who he is. He was given a truck. He hit a deer, did some damage, so that truck had to go into the shop and get rebuilt and whatnot because obviously it did body damage and the lights didn't function anymore, etc. So we got a rental. Rental policy is, with most of those companies that rent semis, you can't have dogs and you can't smoke in it.
Let me guess. He had a dog and he smoked in it.
Bingo! Yep, he went for a double whammy on that one. And
damn.
So he has it's like a mud of a black lab. I'm not sure what exactly it is. It's a medium-sized dog, so it's not a full-size lab, whatever it was mixed with.
But still a good boy.
Yeah, but still a good boy. And sort of a good boy.
Sort of? Was he bad?
Yes.
Oh.
It wasn't just him, though. But anyways, so the fleet manager, the guy that took my position, called me and is like, hey, so we got the dude's truck back, and we'll call him Bob, just to give him a name. So we got Bob's truck back.
Okay.
The problem is, Bob kind of dirtified this truck a little bit. Okay, well, how much? He's like, I haven't really taken a look at it yet, but a lot. So I was down there one morning with the fleet manager, and we just opened up the door, and Bob had already talked to me and asked me to do it, was going to pay me personally to do it because it was well explained to him that if he smoked in it or had a dog in
It
it,
would come out of his pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the way it works is that they charge you a $250 fine and then the cleaning fee.
So don't fucking smoke in your car or in your truck.
Or don't bring a dog in there.
Right.
Because the lady was actually saying when they returned it, they've charged $1,000 on top of the $250.
Whoa!
Because they've had trucks bad enough they've had to remove the whole interior.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What does that take?
As
someone who's been in both trucking and someone who is in detailing currently.
Really, interiors generally aren't that bad as long as you're careful. You'd probably spend about 4 to 5 hours removing all the paneling, probably about 6 to 7 hours if you're really like cleaning every single surface that was in there, vacuuming every single surface, disinfecting it, and or steam cleaning it, whatever, and then about 4 or 5 putting it back together. So just a lot of man hours.
Sure.
Because, there's just a lot
But what's involved with getting a truck that kind of dirty where you have to take apart the interior?
Multiple dogs.
So it does come down to dogs.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Smoking can usually be eliminated by use of, say, an ozone generator, or
Right.
there's several different methods to which you can remove smoke. Ironically, smoking is the stupidest thing. So I've got 3 guys that were in that company that smoked regularly. Like, probably smoked anywhere between a half and 1 pack a day, a fairly average amount.
Sure.
All of them, you can never tell inside their truck. You would never know that they smoked.
Because they never smoked in their truck.
No, they did. They smoked while they were
really?
driving. The number one problem that you have, it's the combination of both ashing out the window,
Yep.
not leaving anything in the truck whatsoever, and even after you've ashed, you hold it out the window and you exhale all smoke out the window. Basically, if you have all smoke and everything going out the window, you can smoke while you drive. And the
aerodynamics of windows down and making sure 100% of the smoke gets out of the vehicle can be sometimes tedious.
It can.
Not as someone who smokes, but I mean, I do vape.
Yeah, exactly. It can be tedious, but these guys do it every day. About 60% of semi-drivers smoke.
Yeah.
And I can show you which ones care and which ones don't. So this guy actually, ironically, at the end of the day, the smoke wasn't the problem with this thing. It was the dog. So initially I had, I didn't know how bad it was. I thought it was just going to be like, okay, dog hair cleanup, which in those trucks, they have rubber floors. They don't have carpet.
Is that typically what it is when it comes down to normal, like, dog cleaning?
It's so variable. I mean,
Okay.
Dog cleaning on a car, yes. It's just usually...
But with these trucks in particular.
It's not that common. You have somebody that's living in the truck with a dog.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll bring one along, and then it's just like, whatever, it's not that big a deal.
Because the dog come for, like,
Yeah.
a route. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This guy, at the moment, is living in the truck. Like, he doesn't, like, it's not just his job where he goes out for 3 days and sleeps in it for a couple days, then comes back home.
That's his house?
Yes. So him and dog are living in the truck.
Is that legal?
It is. It's 100% legal.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% legal. So, this is where it gets worse. Now knowing that fact, we've got to compound something else on this problem. Initially, since I didn't know what we were getting into, I said, well, it's going to start at a minimum of $100. That's my interior minimum, and truck interiors are actually pretty easy to clean. They're generally just, they're trucks. They're made to be kind of beat and easily clean up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get there to the lot, open up the door, peek my head in and say, nope, shut the door. Go back to the fleet manager and say, Steven? Yes? In Bob's truck, there's a lot of dog food. Yes. There's a lot of dog hair. Yes. There's a lot of shit. What?
What?
Shit.
Like actual fecal matter.
Like feces. Like little turdlets. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yikes.
So I text Bob and say, Bob, I did not realize this was going to involve feces of any kind. Therefore, my price is going to jump significantly because I'm going to have to buy gear to do this. This is no longer a dust and or like small dog hair cleanup. This is now what I consider over the line of a quote-unquote biohazard cleanup.
I was going to say hazardous materials.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to have to go and spend about $40 at Walmart getting like legitimate disinfecting supplies.
Right. And
also just various towels and stuff that I'm going to be throwing away because none of my normal shit is touching this.
No.
So I got a response and he's like, and again, This shows you he didn't really comprehend what they were telling him when they first rented the truck about like how much the cleaning fee could be. So he's like, oh, well, if it's going to be that much, I'll just turn it into, Peterbilt and we'll be good. And so then Steven, the fleet manager, he calls Steven, the fleet manager, and Steven spends about 10 minutes explaining, no, I don't think you understand. It's a $250 fine, then probably about $500 in cleaning. So if you have Justin do it, you're going to save a shit ton of money.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which even then, I made no guarantees. I told him, depending on what they're going to critique, I can't guarantee that they're not still going to charge you a fee. Because the big thing right now is the dog smell was so overpowering that you couldn't smell the smoke. It smelled like a kennel.
Wow. That's really saying something.
It is. And actually, I can show you photo to demonstrate that's not on the ones that you saw. To give you an example of how much shit that I picked up out of there. Well, not just shit. This was just the vacuuming that I picked up. But I've never filled my vacuum before until this one.
Wow. Hold on. Wow.
So I found one cigarette butt, but everything else, I mean, just tons of dog food. The amount of dog hair was staggering. The entire passenger seat was black cloth, and you really couldn't tell until I started using my brush against it. It was entirely made of dog hair.
Jesus.
It took about 4 rounds going at that passenger seat to get it so it wasn't fuzzy. So he calls me back after him and Steven have a little heart-to-heart and come to Jesus moment.
Hey, no kidding.
Yeah, and kind of embarrassed at that point. I think he on purpose didn't tell us because I don't think, as far as what I know, he's gone through a rough time between divorce and losing a house and whatnot, and that's kind of why he's in the situation he is. So he's in a bad mental state.
That does suck.
And I'm not using that as an excuse for where this is. I'm saying that's probably the cause of it.
That probably is.
For whatever reason. Most people aren't quite this bad.
Rules are also rules.
Yes.
And also, when your dog shits in your truck,
which is effectively your apartment at this point.
You don't clean it up?
Apparently not.
You don't get like a trash bag or a shopping bag?
That becomes the new part of the floor.
It becomes a fucking feature of some kind.
Let me tell you, it was hard enough to be a new part of the floor.
Oh my God.
It had been there. Like, the biggest bits had been there for a minute.
Do you just like let it aerate out and be like, all right, it doesn't smell anymore, let's keep going?
So, yeah, anyway, so he calls me back and we agree, like, he's like, yeah, let's just do it. I'll write you a check. So he wrote me a check, made sure it was all good. And then
Yeah.
went to Walmart, bought the supplies, came back, and yeah, I had just kind of left the windows down and started aerating, because it was, I can deal with the dog smell, and actually it was mostly just dog smell. You couldn't really smell as much of the shit, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, it was just like, that's a job where it's like, where to begin? Because there's only so much I can see and so much I can do. So usually I just began like I do with every job, which is vacuuming, which some people do it differently. There's many different kind of approaches you can do to an interior, even on a normal level.
Yeah.
Some people think vacuum last because, okay, you're going to be traipsing through anyway, so why would you vacuum first? Me, I have learned to vacuum first always, because then you get a clear view of what you're looking at as the actual floor.
Right.
Without anything solid on it. And then you know what you need to do to get it to where it needs to be.
And then you would probably just vacuum it at the end.
You just do a like 3-minute tidy vacuum.
Sure.
So I just vacuumed up as much of the dog hair and as much of the just dog food and little turtlets as I could.
Jesus Christ. Well, I did see some before and after photos that you posted on Facebook, and it looked amazing after. Like, you did a phenomenal job.
If you go look at my Instagram, it's Chaos Theory Utah. You can see that. It's my most recent post as of today.
Sure.
Which today being Monday, I don't think I'll have another post by Wednesday, but we'll see.
Up your shit, dog. Daily posting. Get on that grind.
We're getting there.
Get on that daily posting grind.
But yeah, you can go check it out. So anyway, so I started with that. And then, like, next step was I actually had a clear view of, like, what literal shit was on the floor.
Yeah.
And in those semis, the front portion of the floor, like where the driver and passenger seats are, is kind of tucked under everything. But the rear area where the sleeper is, it was able to be pulled up. So keep in mind, I had, like, surprisingly, Walmart didn't sell the full paint suits, but that's what I would have been wearing.
Sure.
But I was still wearing like clothes that I knew I was gonna just like change out immediately afterwards, and just pulled that up and threw it outside
Just burn them.
and let it. And at this point on Saturday, it was snowing,
Yeah.
and so I just let it sit there outside in the snow and just soak. To which I also realized the dog probably also peed. You know, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And so there was some of the foam on the bottom of that I'm sure was a little contaminated. But yeah, I just started going to town on every surface with a billion pounds of a combination of Clorox wipes. Let's see, what was it? It was 409 with bleach. Just like anything you could think of, like normal household disinfectants.
Sure.
Just because there's legit fucking fecal matter that I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And so it took a minute because there was so much of that stuff that was just compacted in because it had been there a minute that it was real hard. Mm-hmm. So I had to let it sit and scrub, and I bought little just literally just dish sponges with the scrubby bit on it just to throw away afterwards. And
I need to get some of those.
yeah, it took a minute. It took about, to really get the floor done, it took probably about 2 solid hours on a rubber floor, which is pretty surprising because rubber floor is really easy to clean.
You should be able to just hose it out and be clean.
Yeah, it makes me appreciate them a whole lot more.
No kidding.
And then I moved on to the seats. Luckily, in these trucks, typically what they request the drivers do is they leave the plastic on the mattress, which luckily he did. Like, that it comes wrapped in when it's new.
Yep.
So that made it so that didn't have to be disinfected. However, the upper mattress for the second bunk had always been opened, because they almost always are, and because they're rarely ever used, and had absorbed a lot of the dog smell. Even though the dog wasn't in there, it's just
in the air, in that closed space. Yeah.
So I kind of just, every inch of this thing was just dog hair in every corner you could think of. And so I picked up all that, then went to the front seats. The front seats, I have a carpet brush on my drill, and, it's not just good for shampooing and stuff like that. Like, I'll use it to get dog hair out of shit because it does a very good job of it. Put it on the seat, fire it up, and just woof, everywhere. Just dog hair explodes over all the shit that I've already cleaned, which I knew was going to happen. I knew that the job like this, it was going to be like 3 or 4 stages of cleanup.
Sure.
So after that happened, I'm just like, okay, we're going to keep going, get all of it off. And so just kept going to town, like 1 pass, 2 pass, 3. Finally, after like 4 passes, it stopped coming out.
Yeah.
And I don't think the dog actually I don't think he had any accidents on the seat. Luckily, it did smell like him, but it didn't smell like urine or feces.
But, I mean, with it just being in a vehicle of any kind, in a cabin of any kind, there's such little air in there. And
everything just stagnates.
Space for air to move through and to aerate and to flow through and to ventilate out.
Yeah.
That it's just going to permeate really intensely.
So it just stagnated in there, yeah. And, it... Oh, man. It was definitely pretty bad. And also had to use, which actually, it's a funny thing. I got a new chemical a while back that I actually really love called oxygen.
Yeah?
Which is a lifter for stains and stuff in seats. So it's really cool. You just spray it down and it permeates in, and effectively as the liquid is evaporating, it's bringing up everything that's dirty, like every bit of stain.
Sure.
So it's cool. So I can, like, for instance, I tried this on a pen stain that somebody had in their car. I sprayed it down, dabbed it up, came perfectly clean. But then a few minutes later, there's more of it. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
It's a pretty badass little chemical.
That's awesome.
I'm very happy with it. Anyway, so I used that to get try to get as much of the dog smell out as I could.
Should have you try that on my Forester, actually.
Yes, it would work wonders. Because I've done much crazier things than what your Forester has.
Sure.
But then after that, I just moved on to the normal stuff. Like every inch of this thing, even if it didn't have bad stuff on it, I did disinfect it on. So like the whole dash, just everything. I didn't want to take chances.
Right.
So steering wheel, anything you can touch. It took me probably about 4 hours to get to the point where it would be like a normal detail.
Yeah.
Of just, after all the disinfecting. But by that point on Saturday, I couldn't really do like the doors and everything because it was snowing like a motherfucker.
Yep.
That's when it just started going down crazy.
Uh-huh.
So I packed up for Saturday and headed home, and then came back and did it Sunday just after my driving route. And at that point, it only took about an hour and a half to do.
The weather was great Sunday.
Yeah, the weather was great. And so at that point, it only took like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because from that point, it was just a normal detail of dust and small bits of, like just small spills and little things.
Sure.
But it was probably among the biggest transformations I've had to date. It was insane. I've never had to deal with shit in a detail before.
First time for everything. This is still your first year. You got a lot to learn.
Oh, and no, and I don't doubt that I will probably at some point deal with it again.
Sure.
But, the good news is
the weirdness is when you will find that in a passenger vehicle. Like in a...
Yeah, it makes you question things a little bit.
A little bit. Yep.
Yeah. And, I was kind of questioning, for instance, in this truck, how one of the little turdlets somehow ended up underneath the fire extinguisher. I don't get. It was just...
That does raise a lot of questions, actually.
Yeah, there was a lot of weirdness. And there was even like a small literal shit stain on the step from the driver's door that I'm like, at some point he tossed out a turd and it was still a little wet.
Damn.
Yeah, luckily...
All right,
Bob was...
Get your shit
not
together.
Only very embarrassed, understandably so,
as he should be,
and
for sure.
Hopefully, well, the problem is he's back in his normal truck, and his normal truck is apparently just as bad. So we'll see what happens, but it's potential that I may end up doing another Bob truck at some point in the future.
Thoughts and prayers.
If he ever leaves, or if it just needs to be done, etc. Which we'll see. The thing is, as much as jobs like these suck, they're also the jobs that pay the best. Because if I wouldn't have had to set up and tear down for 2 days, I could have done it in probably about 4.5, 5 hours flat. And at that point, I'm pulling some pretty good money.
Right.
And honestly, as weird as it sounds, I wouldn't mind doing those more often. Because it's almost like instant gratification. I get to watch it transform from this absolute pile.
Yeah.
To, you saw,
it looked amazing. It looked like
pretty much brand new. Yeah, pretty much brand new. In the course of a few hours.
Yeah.
As nasty as it is to deal with, it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's kind of weird. That's not necessarily what I wanted to specialize in as I've been doing this, but I've been getting more and more of those. It's kind of odd. I mean, even the Fusion from a few weeks ago, which I talked about, was
Fusion, the E39.
The E39, yeah, I've done quite a few of these quote unquote transformations, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't mind them in a way, honestly. But we'll see. Yeah, that was a lot of my weekend. And then just doing my normal routine that I already talked about on Monday's episode, or Tuesday's episode.
Yep.
Of just running my ass off. But, man.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and, that was definitely a lot. And actually, what day did I actually think I did forget to mention one thing that I did, which was just a couple weeks ago when I did our good friend Ryan's new GT3 RS.
Oh, yes.
The black on black car.
With the acid green accents.
Oh, my God. This, I've seen other GT3 RSs in person, just like at Cars and Coffee.
Sure.
This was the quintessential spec to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not even a blacked out person, but this was so tastefully done.
You're not even a Porsche guy.
No. The real thing about this specific car is
something I'm working on, by the way.
It's not gonna. We'll get there. I've already expressed that I love them. I think they're fantastic. I'm never gonna be a Porsche guy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not going to, and you know that. So this specific car was amazing because it wasn't just triple blacked out or anything like that.
Yeah.
The taillights were still there, which I hate blacked out taillights.
I'm not a fan.
I like smoked. I don't like completely blacked out.
I tint my brake lights so they work less.
But this car, Ryan bought it this way. It was already set up in this manner. It has all the lettering on the outside's lime green. The calipers on this one would have originally been red because this car has the steel brakes, not the carbon ceramics.
Carbons come with the yellow calipers. This comes with red.
Yep.
Steel.
These were
rotors.
painted black with the Porsche in green to match the green accents.
Right.
Then on the interior, it has...
Well, you also said that the Porsche on the center caps
Yes.
was also green.
Yeah, somebody, like, somehow they had somebody do the center
Well,
caps.
there's different kind of finishes. You could get the colored Porsche crest. I've seen the monochromatic Porsche crest as well, where it's just black on steel, effectively.
Yep.
And then this is basically just doing... The wheels were already black. They were painted black, and then it's just apply green.
Yep, and then it had the green center inserts in the seats as well on the interior.
Yep.
And a couple other small little green touches that were just perfect.
Really set it off.
Like it was the perfect amount of accent for an otherwise all black car with black calipers, black wheels, and black paint.
It wasn't too heavy-handed. It was just the right amount of green.
It was perfect, and I especially liked that.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is the GT3 wing, with how it's normally it says Porsche all the way across. This one is black wing with green Porsche.
Yeah, and it's great because it has some form of an exhaust. I can't remember what it was.
I wonder if it's GMG. They're known for doing Porsche exhaust,
but
like cup cars and stuff.
The day that he started it up, it was a cold start up, and we pulled it out of the garage. I sent Gavin the video, and I'm sure
just cold starting at 2,000 RPM. Or
basically,
whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so great. It just was loud and raucous and just.
Maybe that car will convert you.
No.
You don't think
I will
so?
enjoy the shit out of it. It won't convert me.
You wouldn't want one after driving it?
I would want one, but wanting one car is different than becoming a Porsche guy.
That's true.
Like, I would definitely want that
I
car.
could see that. Okay, if I'm being realistic here.
Okay.
If you drove it for a day and doing like our normal shoot thing or whatever,
yeah.
and you get to hang around it for whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I would see it definitely surpassing Ryan's old car
Oh, yeah.
and Ray's car.
Oh, yeah.
But not quite. I could see it splitting the difference between the GT3s, the normal GT3, and the Rawson.
Yeah,
That's kind
probably.
of where I would see it.
It would probably be pretty damn close. I think the only thing that, at least for me personally, that the Rawson would trump this with is just sheer manual experience.
For sure.
Literally, because it's a manual versus an automatic, and there's
Manual
practically
steering. 'Cause that still has electric steering.
Yeah, there's practically no nannies in the Rawson whatsoever.
Yeah, and it actually might kill you.
That's what I love about
Yeah.
it. Like,
We should do a video on like a Viper and the Rawson.
that'd be a damn good comparison.
That would be because I've had people ask me, he's like, so is it like a Viper? I'm like, I don't know, I haven't driven one.
I haven't driven a Viper either, but honestly, I think it might be more dangerous than a Viper. I don't know. That's a pretty good toss-up.
Yeah.
I would well, here's the one thing I know it is. I know for a fact on paper,
Paper?
on paper, we're going back to papyrus here, people. On paper, it is more capable than a Viper.
Because mid-engine.
Just all around,
Yeah.
lighter weight, mid-engined,
Turbos.
in the right mode, far more manageable. I mean, you look at the Top Gear USA video where they've that versus a 458, and it beat it around a short track by 5 seconds.
On a short track.
On a short track.
Yeah.
Like, that is a lot, because I think the track was about a 1 minute track.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Wait, this is Top Gear US.
Top Gear USA, yep.
I mean, they didn't use any actual racetracks. They kind of
They
took
just
the
did their
BBC
thing.
Top Gear and took an airstrip, didn't they? And fuck around on that.
I'm
or
not
no?
sure where this one was.
I haven't seen American Top Gear in almost a decade.
It's the same, yeah.
So-
No, I'm not sure where this particular one was. I just know it was a very short track of about a minute, and
Sure, and it beat it by 5 seconds, which is a lot.
yeah, a lot. Like, in the right hands, that car is a capable, legend. Key word, in the right hands. It is
the right
not
hands.
like, it is the polar opposite of a GTR, where the GTR will help you pilot itself around a track.
The GTR drives itself.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, this thing does not.
Nope.
And that's still why I love it so much.
Nope.
Anyways, back to the GT3. Since it's a GT3 RS, one of the most interesting things, which I just have never had experience with, because I don't wash that many carbon cars,
Yeah.
it's interesting to, as you're washing them, feel body panels flex
Oh, yeah.
versus just being rigid. Because it's a different kind of flex than for instance, like the hood of your Forester where it's got a little play in it.
Sure.
This is more just like well, am I gonna like break it type of?
Sure, it's like, don't
Am I
press
gonna
too
like?
hard.
Am I gonna like crack the carbon fiber? And,
Oh my God.
yeah, and even like lifting up the rear. Well, actually, here's a perfect comparison. So the GT3 Rays, that we played around with, I lifted up the rear compartment on that, just looking at things. Effectively the same car as this, just many little differences in between.
Right. Well, it's a lighter wing and probably a lighter deck lid.
This with the wing was lighter than just Rays alone.
Yeah.
It was weird because it's got massive, 5 foot wide wing.
There's this visual element that fucks with you.
Yeah, you think it's going to be heavy. You lift it up and I'm like, it feels dainty, and you feel like you're going to break it again.
Uh-huh. But about 150 miles an hour weighs 200 pounds.
Yep.
Or
But then I go
whatever
back
the
to the regular 911 GT3 that our friend Ray has, and I remember lifting up that trunk, and it felt heavier than this with the whole wing versus just the trunk.
Right.
It's crazy, like how much you don't really realize how much weight savings that is until you can actively compare it, and it's oh my god. And then thankfully this car was also not ceramic coated. It was also had full PPF all over it, so it was just great. So there wasn't much work involved with getting it to look beautiful.
Right.
And so just the most amount of time I spent on that thing was actually on the wheels, because since he has the steel brakes, they obviously do generate dust.
They do. Yeah.
Versus the carbons, which generate very little to none. And he didn't realize how dirty the wheels were. The rest of the car was fairly clean, but after I got done cleaning the wheels, it was a massive difference because they looked almost flat before, and then once I was done, they looked pretty glossy like the rest of the car.
Right.
And yeah, that car is just phenomenal.
My God.
Ryan,
I miss your face. I want to come hang. I want to come see your car.
But anyways, yeah, that's my little updates and fun things. I've cleaned up everything. Come to Chaos Theory. We clean up everything from your GT3s to your shit stains.
To your dog shit.
Pretty much. Oh, boy.
Chaos Theory. Dog shit fast. Cleans things dog shit fast.
Oh, boy. I don't need that as my motto.
I'm going to make a t-shirt for you.
Okay. And thus concludes. Oh, man.
This is all the ending you'll get, motherfuckers, because I decided to put empty-ass batteries in the recorder this time. So.
Yep, Gavin's fault. What a brain fart.
Dude, everything is always my fault.
Yep. Remember, write to us and talk about what Gavin did this time.
Oh, yeah, mailbag.eos@gmail.com. Hit us up on our social medias. We're on Facebook. Just type Exhibition of Speed show into Google, and you'll probably find us, actually. We are on YouTube. We don't have anything going on right now. I am in the pre-production process of our winter special, and we can give more info on that as it develops. But it's kind of a documentary / car reviews / paying homage to someone who was special to both Justin and myself.
Yep.
But that's all I'll really discuss and talk about for now. But yeah, hit us up. Engage with us. If you have a Track Daily crush, holler at your boys. But we do have one this week, which is somewhat topical.
Yes.
It's actually fairly topical. 2/3 of it, at least, are.
Tune in on Friday.
Yes. All right. Well, you'll hear from us then. Until next time, I've been Gavin.
And I've been Justin.
And this has been the Exhibition of Speed podcast. Words is goddamn tough, okay?
We can't English. Yeah.